Yesterday, Sayadaw explained Vipassana Samadhi among the 5 kinds or 6 kinds of Samadhi. And yesterday, Sayadaw explained the meaning of the word Vipassana Samadhi. And today, Sayadaw will explain combining with the practice. Bhutam bhutato passati. One should observe the object in the way the object really is. One needs to observe the object in the way it is, and one should note it with effort so that there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind falls calm, collected on the object, and Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, develops. In order to know, in order to discern the object in the way it is, one needs to observe. By observing it, one will see or discern. By observing it closely, concentratedly, one will discern better and better. So it is very important to know how to observe correctly. Rather than observing the object, noting the object, if the person is thinking, why is it, how is it, what it is, then the person misses or fails to note the object. One should be noting the object that is arising freshly new. And in order to discern the nama rupa that is arising at the present moment, one needs to observe at the moment the object arises. In the beginning of the practice, noting involves paññatti concept. When noting, sitting, standing, bending, stretching, turning, rising, falling, noting these objects involves paññatti concept, noting them by mental labeling. In the beginning, one does not discern the nature itself, but one should be mindful of the object in the way the object really is, noting as sitting, standing, walking, lying, whatever posture the person is in, such as walking, standing, sitting, lying, bending, stretching, turning, going forward, going backward, opening and closing of the eyes, blinking. Everything should be done mindfully, and one should be mindful, noting the object with aim and effort so that there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind falls calm and collected, and one discerns the nama rupa, cause and effect. At first, one does not discern the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self yet. The priyuthana kilesa, obsessive developments, arise if there is lack of mindfulness. And if there is laziness, there will be lack of mindfulness. The mind will be left uncontrolled. The mind goes here and there. The mind becomes stray if there is lack of mindfulness. When the mind wanders here and there, it is not wholesome. One should be mindful of the object. By being mindful of the object, When the mind falls calm and collected, one will not have greed, lobha, one will not have dosa, concerning with the object that has been noted. By being mindful, one does not see the object as desirable or undesirable. One will not have greed or hatred based on the object that one is able to note. So in this way, one gains immediate benefit, not letting the defilement arise by having mindfulness. So one should value and cherish the mindfulness. One should develop, cultivate, and increase the wholesome mind that is free from defilement. Developing, cultivating, increasing the wholesome mind is called bhavana, so that the wholesome mind will be increased from 1 moment to 2 moments, from 2 moments to 10 moments, to many moments continuously. So the mind becomes from small to big, from tender to ripe, from less to many, and it is called bhavana, developing, cultivating, increasing the wholesome mind. In order to discern correctly, one should observe the nama rupa that arises at the present moment, and the mind will be calm, collected, again and again, moment after moment. If one is not being mindful, the concept will prevail. By being mindful, one discerns the nature, characteristic of the nama rupa. If there is no mindfulness, the mind will not be calm, collected. The mind will be distracted, scattering, and the person is lacking moral shame from distraction. The person is lacking moral fear from restlessness. So if there is lack of mindfulness, if the person misses or fails to note the object, there is delusion, not clear, not certain. Every moment there is lack of mindfulness, moha, delusion, ahirika, lack of moral shame, anuttappa, lack of moral fear, uddhacca, restlessness, arise. Every moment one is lacking mindfulness. Coming across desirable objects, greed, lobha arises. Coming across undesirable objects, dosa, anger arises, if the person is not being mindful. One should be noting the presently arising object with aim and effort. If there is no mindfulness, if one is not mindful, then there is wrong view that it is a person, being, I, he, she. In this way, there is also wrong view if the person is not mindful, as well as the other defilements that have been mentioned. In order to weaken the momentum of defilements, one should be mindful. Having mindfulness, the defilement currents will come to a stop. But these defilement currents will totally be cut by attaining path knowledge. By being mindful with aim and effort, Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, develops. But it has not got to the stage of Ekagata, one-pointedness yet. By noting the object repeatedly again and again, the mind becomes calm, collected, continuously for 1 minute, 2 minutes. The mind becomes pure, not giving chance for the nirvana hindrances to arise. The nirvana hindrances that hinders the unwholesomeness will have no chance to arise when the mind is pure and clean. When the mind falls calm, collected on the object that has been noted, there will not be wanting this, wanting that. In this way, kama chanda nirvana, sensual desire, is removed at the moment the noting mind falls calm, collected on the object. Noting the object, aiming, directing the noting mind onto the object. When the mind is face to face, direct with the object, the mind is fresh, open, and blossom. Noting mind becomes face to face, direct with the object due to vitakka, initial application. Noting the object, the noting mind rubs against the object, noting becomes effective, and thus uncertainty and doubt will not arise, so long as the noting mind rubs and strokes against the object. Not being mindful of the object, there will be uncertainty, not being able to note the object. It is explained as putting the letter in the air, very uncertain if the person is not being mindful. Noting the object with aim and effort, the noting is effective that the noting mind rubs and strokes against the object, and there is certainty, and there will be joy, delight, happiness. Piti, joy arises, one feels satisfied, happy, and when the noting is effective, one feels very joyous and happy, and the practice becomes effective and efficient. If there is delight, there is also happiness. There will be rati, delight, as well as sukha, happiness. When piti, joy, arises, the mind is not rotten with dissatisfaction. In this way, dissatisfaction cannot arise when there is piti, joy, in the practice. And there is also sukha, happiness, peaceful, and the mind is free from restlessness and worry. In this way, nirvana hindrances are removed. Nirvana hindrances hinder and block the wholesome mind from arising, and these nirvana hindrances pollute the mind so that the mind becomes dirty and polluted, and thus nirvana hindrances are also called as cetaso upakilesa, as they pollute the mind. Because these nirvana hindrances conceal the true nature, the true characteristic, and thus, having nirvana hindrances, the person does not discern nama-rupa, cause and effect, or the characteristics of impermanent suffering and non-self. The true nature, the true characteristic are concealed, hidden by the nirvana hindrances. Having nirvana hindrances, the knowledge does not arise at all, or even if one has developed knowledge, when nirvana hindrances arise, knowledge becomes weak. In this way, nirvana hindrances does not let knowledge to arise. The knowledge that has arisen will become weak if the nirvana hindrances arise. When the noting mind is direct or face to face with the object, it is very satisfying. If the person is able to note continuously for 1 minute, there will be 60 moments of being mindful. And if one can note the object continuously for 5 minutes, there will be 300 moments. One is being mindful. There will be citta visuddhi, purification of the mind. For the moment that the person is being mindful, for that moment, nirvana hindrances are removed. And by practicing continuously, when the mindfulness is continuous, when the concentration is continuous, there will be citta visuddhi, purification of the mind, by noting every arising object, such as rising, falling, with aim and effort. The thing that troubles the most, the thing that hinders the development of the wholesome mind, is the laziness. Laziness gives the most trouble. In Pali, it is called as kosaja. In order to overwhelm laziness, one should be continuously putting effort every single second, being alert and active in the noting. In order to overwhelm laziness as well as the unwholesomeness, the effort is the most strong force to overcome laziness and to cultivate wholesomeness. In order to cultivate wholesomeness, one should have the jhanic factors when noting the object. When noting the object with vitakka and vichara, applying the noting mind onto the object, rubbing, stroking against the object, the noting mind will be direct or face to face with the object. There will not be laziness. There will not be not wanting to exert effort. There will not be exhaustion, but the mind will be fresh and alert. When the noting mind rubs and strokes against the object, there will be certainty. Vicikicca, skeptical doubt, will be removed. And piti sukha, joy and happiness, arises. The mind becomes free from nirvana hindrances, which are also called as ceteso upakilesa. And the mind will not be overwhelmed by the nirvana hindrances. The mind will not get tormented by nirvana hindrances. The mind will not get burnt by the hindrances. If the person is accepting the defilements, if the person is accepting the hindrances, the mind is dirty, polluted, and degraded. Kilesa defilements make the person dirty, polluted, inferior, and degraded. Having defilements, the mind is dirty and polluted. However, a person may be educated in the worldly education or has material wealth, but so long as he or she is accepting the defilements, the person is a low-class person having the defilements. In order to remove the hindrances, one should be mindful, one should have mindfulness continuously so that the mind will be free from hindrances. So every moment of being mindful is very precious and it is very profitable. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo, the Dhamma is taught. And by practicing according to the Dhamma, the benefits will be in accordance. And for those who practices with faith and confidence, it is guaranteed that they will gain profit in the practice. But for those who do not have faith and confidence, it is not guaranteed that they will gain benefits of practice. If the person is not being mindful, if the person is not noting the object respectfully, meticulously, if the person is not noting continuously, stopping, gazing in between, then the defilements enter the mind. Wrong view of person, being arises. The wrong view of jiva atta, individual soul, arises. Not being mindful, the concept prevails. When the concept prevails by not being mindful, kilesa defilements enter. The defilements, various kinds of defilements, arise just like rain. At times, a drizzle of defilement rain arises. At times, heavy rain of defilements arises. And nowadays in the world, it is getting worse and worse. When the time of the population getting worse and worse with the defilements, it is called Adhamika. The era is called Kali Yuga, where people have lots of sins and offenses, and people are morally degraded. And this time is a bad time, especially with the governing in the nation and also the government servants and also the employees, the countrymen, merchants have bad moral conduct. And the effect of the defilements of the people, it has a lot of influence. And in some of the nations, it is beyond the control. Everything has been ruined because of the bad moral conduct of people. So the bad moral conduct, the influence of the bad moral conduct influences the circulation of the sun as well as the moon and the stars, and the weather become unpredictable. In some of the places there is drought, in some of the places there are floodings, and the plantations get ruined and destroyed. The food that is produced are harmful, and people get lots of illnesses, and the lifespan of people becomes short, and there is dissatisfaction among people, killing, tormenting, and also the weather also becomes worse. So Sayadaw does not know how it is explained scientifically, but according to the text, the weather becomes worse due to the bad moral conduct of people. So if there are more people who observe the 5 precepts, the moral conduct will be good, and it is better if they develop their mind through the Satipatthana practice. Even though one cannot do much for the whole world, but one should start with one's own world as well as one's own surrounding world. Practicing Satipatthana meditation is to make one's own world be peaceful without the defilements which are giving trouble, which are burning. Practicing Satipatthana meditation, being free from defilements, one's own world will be free from burning, and it will be peaceful. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, one's own world will be pure, uplifted, and one will have higher standard of life through the Satipatthana practice. If one does not gain peacefulness in one's own world, the peacefulness for the whole world will be just a dream. So it is important to keep one's own world, be free from the burning of the defilements. It is important to keep one's own world to be peaceful, being free from the defilements that are polluting and degrading. Through the practice, when one is purified from the defilements, the person becomes Dhammika, the practitioner of the Dhamma. If the population of the people who practice the Dhamma grow, then the planets will also be good. There will be good weather as well as good plantation. Food will also be full of nutrition, and people will stay healthy, fit, and live long life, and the world will become peaceful. Practicing Satipatthana meditation can guarantee to gain peacefulness within one's own world. These days are called Kali Yuga, where the most percentage of people are blameworthy, dirty, and polluted. There are 4 kinds of yuga: Kata Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Kata Yuga is the era where the people are truthful. 100% of people are good, that there is much peacefulness, pleasantness, and people lived long. It has already passed. And 1/4 deteriorated. The era where 1/4 has deteriorated is called Treta Yuga. And to explain in terms of a fruit, if 1/4 of a fruit is rotten, this example is given to explain the Treta Yuga, where only the 3/4 are good, whereas 1/4 is rotten. So 25% has become bad and 75% is still good in the Treta Yuga. And the bad things have spread it to another 1/4, that only half is good, half is bad. 50% is good, 50% is bad. It is called Dvapara Yuga. And as the rottenness spreads to another 1/4, the 3/4 has become rotten, deteriorated, where only 1/4 is good. It is the Kali Yuga, where only the 25% of people are good, whereas 75% of people are bad. So now is the time of Kali Yuga, where there is only 1/4, the 25% that is good. So people try to have victory with arms, ammunition, and thus the world is deteriorating. People have lots of greed, anger, aversion, conceit. In order to make one's own world be good, Satipatthana meditation can give guarantee. And through the Satipatthana meditation, the 25% that is good will be maintained. And through the Satipatthana practice, we should nurture good new generation so that from 25% to 50%, from 50% to 75%, 75% to 100% to be good. So we all need to try through the practice of Satipatthana to increase the portion to be good, so that there will be peacefulness. So in order to do so, one should have peacefulness within one's own world, being free from hindrances, nivaranas, and Satipatthana meditation can guarantee to make one's own world be peaceful. If one's own world is peaceful through the Satipatthana practice, one will not be hurting others, and it is quite satisfactory. And when people who practices Satipatthana meditation increase, then the world will become more and more pleasant. And Satipatthana meditation can give guarantee for the peacefulness in the world. And this will be all for today.